face on.
Thank you. Thank you for your answers. And I'll now call on our members for questioning, and I'll start with our ranking member, McCaul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And let me just say at the outset, Susan Rice was the first African-American ambassador to the United Nations. Madam Ambassador, you are the second. And my friend to my right is the first African-American chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. So as this nation, as we try to move forward with our race relations, let me just note for the record that we have certainly made progress. And I think it exemplifies it here today. And it's an honor to serve with you. Let me start with, and I was very, our conversation, your assessment of China and the threat from the CCP was spot on, and I was very impressed with that. This committee passed unanimously a resolution which basically labeled the crimes coming out of the Xinjiang province against the Uyghur Muslims as genocide. Do you agree with the assessment of this committee that genocide and crimes against humanity are being committed by the Chinese Communist Party in Xinjiang?
Yes, genocide is being committed against Uyghurs in Xinjiang, and the government, the PRC government, is committing crimes against humanity. We have called the Chinese out on this. I hosted a high-level virtual event on the 12th of May that was co-hosted with the UK and 18 other countries, where we address these issues in public to ensure that we continue to shine a light on what is happening in Xinjiang.
I appreciate that candid response, and I couldn't agree with you more. And I hope the bill will come to the floor soon. It calls for you, Madam Ambassador, to lead the efforts to invoke sanctions in response to this genocide. What is the administration's strategy to fulfill our legal obligations under the Genocide Convention, which requires all states to prevent and to punish these crimes of genocide?
You know, first and foremost, at the United Nations in March, we issued joint sanctions that were announced by the UK, Canada, and the EU, and we thought this was a powerful example of the impact we can have by collaborating with like-minded allies and parties. The President is in Europe as we speak, and this past week he has also engaged with allies and partners to see how we can continue our efforts to grow an international coalition of countries willing to speak out against the atrocities that are occurring in Xinjiang. And we're considering, while we're considering unilateral actions that we can take to promote accountability to the PRC government's crimes and abuses, we also want to be a leader on this in the United Nations.
And I think we're always best when we lead on democracy, freedom, and human rights, and protecting the freedoms and human rights of people around the world. And that's where this committee often comes together, as not just Republican, Democrat, but as Americans. That those are our ideals that we hold so true and so valuable. I'd like to ask you also about the COVID-19. The latest revelations coming out seem to be pointing more and more that's a possibility, if not probability, this could have accidentally leaked from the laboratory. I know the G7 called for the WHO to lead this investigation, but given their track record and tainted history, in fact, I would say being complicit with the cover-up, General Tedros's associations with President Xi, is it possible that the WHO could ever conduct a fair investigation? And have you given any thought to perhaps an independent team of scientists under an organization with credibility? That's assuming the Chinese would ever let us in the first place.
The Biden-Harris administration has made clear it supports a robust and transparent investigation into the origins of COVID-19, of the pandemic. And we do believe that an impartial public health investigation into the origins and the early spread of the outbreak is vital to protecting us in the future against such pandemics. This administration will continue to review all the information that we have at our disposal so that we can provide that information on the origins. The WHO did pull together appoint a independent committee that is being led by two well-respected individuals, former president of Liberia, Sirleaf, is on is co-leading that investigation. We, as the UN mission, met with her and the team involved in that, and I know that they have met with other members of the Security Council to brief on the final report. And I am confident in their abilities to get to the bottom of this, and I know that they are working hard. Their reputations are attached to this, and we're looking forward to seeing the results. But again, we ourselves are looking at this, and the President has asked that the U.S. intelligence community provide a full assessment of its findings within the next few months.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador.
Gentleman's time has expired. I now recognize Representative Albio Sears of New Jersey, who's the chair of the Subcommittee on the Western Hemisphere, Civilian Security, Migration, and International Economic Policy for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. Ambassador, welcome.